At King's, we are part of a church planting movement. 35 years ago, faithful men and women left the church in Hastings to come and plant King's Church in Eastbourne. For us as a church, we've gone on the great adventure of planting our own churches into Seaford, into the heart of the town centre, and now the time has come for us to consider doing it right here. It's this wonderful part of Eastbourne called the Harbour. God has been so kind to us as a church. In these past few years, we've continued to see many saved and added. So many people that have been baptised into our church family in the last few years. So many people coming and joining the church family as they become members of our church. The increased attendance on Thursday mornings, or down at the Centro Lounge, or at the King Centre on Sunday mornings. We now have almost 140 young people under the age of 14 attending church on Sunday mornings. God has been so kind as we've continued to grow. But come on, we don't just believe that we want to grow in size in our gatherings on a Sunday morning. We believe that we want to grow in the kingdom of God as we plant and establish communities of believers in their local spaces to be able to bless the people that they live in and around each and every day. Do you know what? There isn't a church that meets here anymore. How sad is that to know that there's no longer an established church community that meet here and call this place their home when they gather to meet and to worship Jesus? We've felt more and more stirred and convinced as leaders of this church that we want to play our role in establishing and building and planting a church here into this part of Eastbourne.
We want to introduce you to Carl and Chrissy, who we've loved getting to know over the last few years. They have a shared heart and vision for the harbour and have been living there and working amongst the community for almost 10 years.
See how natural you've already been on camera?
Yeah. Right, tell us a bit about yourselves and how you ended up in the harbour.
Cole, that's you. You and your dream. Okay, so we were at Victoria Baptist Church for 5 years. We came down from Birmingham. And whilst we were at Victoria Baptist Church, we went away for a week. And one night, Carl had a dream.
Yeah, I had a dream where there was a man standing by a building which is very known to me on the harbour because it's the old gym that I used to go to. And a man was standing there talking to me saying, God's opening up this place for you, for his purposes. And that night I didn't really think much about it. The next day I kind of questioned it. But then the very next night I had the exact same dream where the man said exactly the same thing. And that really set the ball rolling for an exploration of, well, what is God saying, opening up this place to us for his purposes? And really that is how we got to be part of the harbour. 18 months went by sort of wrestling, asking God some big questions and him batting back everything we asked him with some very strong answers or some miraculous displays of answering those prayers. We took the bold step to come here. But on the last kind of prayer with God, I was saying, well, it's okay, you've called us, and looking at the harbour and just seeing the expanse of all the buildings, all the houses, all the windows, all the balconies, I just said, God, this is too big for me and my family. And God straight away just said, it's not too big for me and my family. And by God's good grace, some people bought us this house that we're now in so that we could rent it from them to be incarnating and placed on the harbour where God had called us to. So as we started here on the harbour, we also found other people that God had clearly sent at a similar sort of time to us. And we connected through different events that are going on in the town and found out they lived on the harbour too. So we started a missional community. And that just started to grow. It became 4, it became 8, sort of 16. Other young families joined us as well, to the point of we sort of maxed out the size of our house of about 25 people gathering here on Sunday. We've just been blessed by seeing God at work in people's lives. People have come to faith. It was only within, I think, the first 6 weeks we were here. I was in my office upstairs at the time and someone knocked at the door and I thought, oh, who's that? Inconvenience. And God said, what are you here for? And Chrissy answered the door and this guy said, I know there's a man here and he knows Jesus and I want to talk to him. So I just felt quickened by the Spirit to come down the stairs and have a conversation with this guy. And that just started a week-by-week meeting where ultimately, by God's good grace, this man came to know Jesus and gave his life to Jesus. At the same time, unbeknown to him, also Jesus was having an impact on his wife and she gave her life to him 2 weeks without them even talking about Jesus. And it's just amazing to see God's working through us and outside of us.
There's lots of individuals, amazing individuals who live on the harbour who love Jesus and are doing their very best to love their neighbour and bless their neighbour. And I think what we've learned over the last 10 years is that it's amazing to be a family on mission. It's amazing, but it's really tiring and it's really hard work, and it's easy to get just tired out. So when you think of a family, a church body that actually encourage each other, equip each other, pray for each other, and go out together to do this mission that we've got, it's just, for us, it's really exciting because we don't have to do it on our own anymore. So really excited to think about a team coming together, people who are like-hearted, like-minded, who really want to gather in this place and be the light of Christ to this community and this harbour.
So over the past 3 years, we have been so blessed as a church to be able to give away almost £100,000 of additional income, whether that's into the Love Eastbourne funds, supporting local people, giving into local charities and initiatives that work here, or just partnering with causes that we feel stirred to be involved in. We've also been able to give money away for the Love Our Well funds. Some of that went towards church planting into Berlin. Some of it went into being able to support our friends that are in Southern Africa through Scott Marks and Graham and Belinda that are in Zimbabwe. That has been such a joy to be able to give that money away. But we have felt an increased conviction as leaders, and as leaders of this wonderful church, that we also want to use some of our additional finances that we have to be able to invest into what we truly believe that we want to be part of, is planting and establishing churches. Okay, so how might you play your part? Well, you might want to get involved in what's going on here. We're going to have opportunities to gather to pray, to prayer walk around this part of the harbour, and we'll start also meeting here regularly, whether it's in midweek life groups and small group communities spread across this area, or whether it's on a Sunday morning where we begin to start to worship, to pray, and to encourage others to come and join us as we're declaring the good news of who Jesus is. So look out for those events to come and be part of as well. It might be something that you feel more and more stirred to pray, feeling a conviction of what God's heart is for what's going on here, to be able to seek Him and to be able to bring your prayers and your prophetic words or your encouragements to us as leaders, or to Carl and Christy that you've just met. And finally, you might think this is an opportunity for me to be able to freely give into what we're hoping to do here. We're going to have a couple of Sundays and free will offerings during October where we're going to say to our wonderful, generous church family in Eastbourne, come on, who could give freely into what we're doing? We in faith, we don't quite know how much we're going to raise yet, but wouldn't it be wonderful to have some finances available to be able to invest in people and to be invest into facilities that we could use here to be able to really start to plant and establish the church that we feel God's calling us to.